Hello everyone, welcome to the live stream. Hi there. Hi there everyone, hi. Hi, I've been working on the video and I've got a fair bit done. 6 minutes so far. Wait, is that just a huge segment of like nothing going on? 48 to 30, jeez, that's like solid 40 seconds of borderline nothing going on. Yeah, this video will not be the best at the end. In the end, I've done better. Doesn't matter. The point is, today we'll be working on the video. Is he ill? No, I'm not ill. Don't worry. Don't worry, I'm not. I am just fine. Hi, the Reblags. Need to make slides. Slides. Who doesn't? Hold on, because what was I doing? Oh yeah, right, I was editing. So first things first, some music. Hi there. Hi, there's been a while since you joined stream time, and hi.
32 plus 1.
Yeah, sore throat is, I've avoided talking too much with sore throat, but my throat is better, so yeah, I'm back.
Good, glad to have you back. I'm trying to finish up the video today. Trying, being the keyword. Just a fair bit more and then should be finished. I'm officially at the phase of the video where I just like hate it.
Oh,
so
that's bad.
it happens for every single one of them.
I know.
That's just natural.
4 plus 0 times 128. That's it.
Hold on, I need to switch to live chat because someone didn't remind me. There we go.
What do you mean magical record? Like I literally skipped the past few, I don't know how many streams because like a sore throat. Like I stop the accusations.
100%. And so here's where we get to the, in my opinion, neatest part of the video, and that's.
Oh yeah, that's the neatest part of the video. The graphs.
The visualization. So here's how it will work.
There we go.
The visualization.
You've joined in and knock with one because today I'm just gonna be editing.
So here's how it will work.
Recent. Well, it's because it's not like fun. Like for example, the Quaternions one where I was researching or something.
A dot. This dot represents a binary number. They will go higher
So
and
most of it will just be me either silent or like
higher,
editing.
so in the classical integer fashion. Now that's the up and down. Left and right will represent the up and down. Left and right will represent the number line. The higher the number,
There's only this entire folder to get through. How this shouldn't take long. Hundreds. Also, I haven't recorded it fully, so it will be longer. Also, I haven't even scripted it fully. Cookie noise. What do you mean, cookie noise, Reblax? That's baseless accusations.
higher the number, the more to the right, up to 10.
Baseless accusations. No idea what you could possibly be referring to. Reblax, take your pills. Honestly, no, I just crazy. Et tu, Reblax, et tu.
The more to the left, up to a negative 10,000.
Mix, do you want to know what item someone left behind after my brother's house party? What item? I imagine it's nothing simple, because then you wouldn't be telling us this, so... What item?
And with that in mind, let's go over
So made it as a request for you.
What kind of request?
They wanna hear me better. Which I mean, I don't know why, but
Hold on. How? You're just quiet. That's not on me. There we go. How about now?
don't ask me.
I think this should fix it.
every single
I have no idea.
digit in binary and
Maybe I'm a bit quieter because my throat hasn't like fully recovered yet.
for every single digit in binary and see what it looks like. Every
Okay, now this and this.
single digit in binary and see what it looks like. Here's, for example, a 16-digit integer. Let's go, and with that in mind, let's go over every single digit in binary and see what it looks like.
I should leave it like this, it's fine.
Here's, for example,
6 minutes 39. The problem is that normally I know how long the video is going to be by this point because I have it already recorded. Now I don't, so
a
just have to keep
16-digit
going.
integer representation.
I recorded everything I had, but then I realized my microphone was turned off, so I just had to re-record it again.
We've seen
And instead I just had to record it in portions, hence why I'm only at 8 minutes so far. Out of the entire video, hold on, let me open up the script. There we go. Like this is how far I recorded, and this is what there's still left to record. What's more, right here, this script isn't finished. Well, it kind of is, because I'm gonna cut off the video there. The rest I'll have to leave for the next episode. But this also isn't finished, which means I'll just have to work on both. Fun. It's good. It's good. Good stuff. I am under a lot of stress recently. I think I'll need to take a day to organize my work. The only problem is I don't know when to take that day. I can't do it today because I have a video to finish. I can't do it tomorrow because I have a live stream 800. I can't do it in 2 days because on a Thursday, Friday, I'll have to go for a meeting. And because of that, I'll be behind on the video. And because I started work on 3 different important videos. This is, what is that called? What is that situation called? There's like a common phrase for this kind of situation. Stuck between a cock and a rock or something. I don't remember. I don't remember the saying.
Something like that.
I'm pretty certain that's the saying, yeah. I think. Okay.
a 16-digit integer representation we've seen on the beginning, like so. Now,
This and this.
now this is obviously going off the page, and
This is obviously going off the page 580, which means this.
it looks like. Now this is obviously going off. Now this is obviously going. Now this is obviously going off the page, and if we look to the right, you can see that it continues.
quite a while, okay.
Until it stops. This isn't just me cutting the line short, by the way, it's the limit of what we can save. And even though this line may look perfectly continuous, it's actually just dots. 65,536 dots to be precise. And if we switch it from just positive integers to negative as well, then the first bit goes to represent negative numbers. And so the new lines...
This will be explained better later on, but I kind of hate this. Most people will leave on the very beginning of the video because it requires so much context to get to the actually interesting part.
This. Now it's important to realize that we get two lines, but those lines are half the length. That's because the amount of dots never changes. We can only move the dots around, not create them, not destroy them. And that's why if we want to represent negative numbers, we also have to represent less of the positive numbers, because these dots have to come from...
Okay, so this and this.
That's why
if we want to represent negative numbers, like so, like, add frame hold at the end.
Numbers, we also...
Right here, this, cancel, add, frame hold, cut this short, cross, dissolve, perfect. Perfect-ish, perfect. You don't hear any cookie clicker in the background, by the way. Don't trust Reblax, he's French.
We also have to represent less of the positive numbers, because these dots have to come from somewhere. In the same manner, if we switch it from only integers to a floating point...
the same manner we switch from only integers to a floating point, I'm guessing it's this. No, it's not this. I mean, it's this.
If we want the fractions to be represented, we need to sacrifice something else. And that something else is the numbers on the sides.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while before it actually... To be honest, him being French is a valid argument. A cheat sheet for physics class and the quality on it, like laminated or transparent type. Just left behind after a party. What kind of party was it?
A fun kind.
Who leaves a physics cheat sheet after a party?
L-
Everyone knows that the
Fun
only
people.
proper thing to leave is a broken glass and a broken ankle, and that's all I'm gonna elaborate on. Okay,
That's something else.
8 minutes. Good. 8 minutes finished. Let's record some more.
That's something else. is the numbers on the sides.
The sides. Hold on. Where were we? No, wait.
Once I, like, in a bar, a friend of mine just left a bunch of, like, phase diagrams of matter, like, yep. Just accidentally left it there when we went out for a billiard. I'm like, yep, this is what happens when you hang out with nerds.
Okay. There we go. That's the point. 100%.
Else is the numbers on the sides.
Now this may not seem like much of a change, but if we zoom in on them very carefully, you can see that us representing fractions is very different from us representing integers. And that will be the point of this segment of the video. I want to show you the difference between different ways to represent other kinds of binary numbers. Now we already know one of them, and that's the 2 to the nth power, where n is offset, which basically means that it could go from anything, which means that it could go from 2 to the 0th power up to 2 to the 15th, or it could just as easily go from 2 to the negative 60th to 2 to the negative 45th. This lets us represent both integers and floating point numbers. But is there another way to represent them? Well, yeah, and that way works like this. We take our 16-digit binary number and we break it down into 2 8-digit numbers. Now we just divide the left 8-digit number by the right one and we get a rational number. So going back to our visualization, this is what it would look like for a 16-digit number that's going from negative 4th power to a 12th power. And this is what it would look like with our new system. As you can see, the distribution is completely different, and it's no longer just a simple line. Instead, it looks more like a cone. Why? Well, first, let's stretch it out, having this line at the bottom instead of... Well, first, let's stretch it out, having this line at the bottom instead of representing negative 10,000 to a 10,000. Let's have it represent from negative 500 to a 500. Great. Okay. How much this time? Oh. Eventually, we'll get there.
Now this may not seem like much of a change.
What was the animation? It was 1080. There we go.
Now this
Well, there are such times where there is only a French to tell the truth.
Now this may not seem like much of a change, but if we zoom in on them very carefully, you can see that as representing fractions is very different from us representing integers.
There we go.
And that will be the point of this segment of the video. I want to show you the difference between different ways to represent other kinds of binary numbers. Now we already know one of them, and that's the 2 to the nth power numbers. Now we already know one of them.
Okay, right here. Okay. 1110. This one now.
Now we already know one of them, and that's the 2 to the nth power, where n is offset, which basically means that it could go from anything.
Why are these not like different? Whatever, who cares? I can just do it backwards. It's fine. Is there a plane flying over your window, Timon?
Yep.
Hey, Reblax's gamer here. Hi, Theo. Hi, Catman. Hi. Okay.
And that's the 2 to the nth power.
Wait, hold on. So it has to be higher. Oh yeah, let's play March the Chicken. That's great. Does this look plausible? Kind of.
And that's the 2 to the nth power, where n is
And you know what? Kind of is good enough for me.
offset, which basically means that it could go from anything.
What the?
Which means that it could go.
Why?
And that's the 2 to the nth.
Why? Why?
I don't know.
N is offset, which basically means that it could go from anything. Which means that it
Games were invented in 1961 by John Gaming. That is true. That's just a true story. Yeah, I didn't know you were a historian on the side, Roblox. I remember John Gaming. He was a good old pal of mine, you know. Woof. Back in the days. Actually, that's how I became a gamer. Whenever I play video games and I say, "Oh, I'm gaming so hard," that's what I actually. John Gamer taught me that.
and that's the 2 to the nth power.
So
N
John
is
made
offset,
you a
which basically means that
gamer.
it could go.
Yes, John made me a gamer. Exactly.
Which means that it could go from 2 to the 0th power up to 2 to the 15th.
John must be pretty handsome then.
Now we already know one of them, and that's the 2 to the nth power, where n is offset, which basically means that n is offset, which means that it could n is offset, which means that it could go from 2 to the 0th power up to 2 to the 15th.
Theo, that sounds delicious. Now I
Like
want
onion
that.
soup, make some breadsticks and a veggie dip kind of deal. Oh, that is good.
I want that so bad now.
John Gay, the inventor of the gays. Oh yeah, another good old pal of mine. Oof, John Gay, what a menace. Actually, John Gay invented having sex. And yeah, that is the true story. Yeah, and then John Straight figured out that he could have it with women.
0th power up to 2 to the 15th.
John is a Greek word, Greek name confirmed.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Or it could just as easy 0th power up to 2 to the 15th.
Why are they doing
I'm
such
pretty
an
sure
inefficient way?
Sappho invented lesbians though.
We said in what?
Sappho invented lesbians.
What's Sephoin?
Sappho.
What's that?
She invented lesbians. You don't know Sappho?
No.
Deal of power.
She invented lesbians. Greek woman who invented lesbianism. Yep.
I don't know.
This is canon lore, by the way. This is canon. Like, it's not just me making it up.
I don't know who they are. No clue. I mean, that's just you.
No, I'm genuine. That's how the word where the word lesbian comes
Power
from. Like,
up to the 15th, or it could just as easily
this is the canon lore.
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah, I'm sure. Why not? Who am I to disagree?
up to the 15th, or it could just as easily go. Or could just
No, this has to be bigger. Oh, if I had a nickel for every single time, am I right? There we go. This,
Alright,
this.
Reblox sense, you understand what I'm talking about.
What was Jane lesbians planning? That is like such obscure. You can't just say that as if it's common knowledge.
or it could just as easily go from 2 to the negative 60th to 2 to the
Unbelievable.
I'm pretty certain it's common knowledge
Just
that
as
like
easy go from
Sappho lived on the island of Lesbos and just invented just invented the lesbianism there. Like, island of Lesbos, like, come on. Uncultured.
I'm not. Listen, I haven't delved into the lesbian law. All right.
Oh
I'll
god,
be
this is
brutally
common
honest
knowledge.
with
Like,
you. I will be brutally honest with you. I don't know much about lesbianism. Personally,
Me
never
neither.
tried it. I personally never
neither,
tried
but,
it.
like-
So
like, come on, this is just common knowledge. Reblox, like,
I don't
Reblox
know.
knows
Maybe
it too.
Reblax tried lesbianism. I haven't.
or it could just as easily go from 2 to the negative 60th
How am I supposed to know?
to 2 to the negative 45th. This
You
lets us
and
represent
Reblox know what I'm talking
integers,
about, and
this lets us represent
He's French. He doesn't count. Reblax might as well be right now just schizo-babbling. I don't know. He probably doesn't know it. He's just saying random words and just hitting the mark. Fun fact, in the UK during the times when gay sex was quite literally illegal, lesbian sex wasn't. Why? They refused to believe lesbian sex was a thing. That is, yeah. That sounds like all the times. LGBT agenda? I thought LGBT didn't have agenda. The joke is so funny to me. It's like, how many liberals does it take to change a log on Bob? And I just love it.
go from 2 to the negative 60th to 2 to the negative 45th. This lets us represent both integers
How many liberals does it take to log on Bob? None. They too busy. The agenda.
This lets us represent both. This lets us represent both integers and floating point numbers. But is there another one? Negative 45th. This lets us represent both integers and floating point numbers. But is there another way to represent them?
There we go. This thing called 8.5 minutes. Not bad. How's the stream? It's been okay. So we're going like over a minute per half an hour. I mean, yes, minute per half an hour. That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, and that way works like this. We take our 16-digit binary number and we
What is the animation you're supposed to? Oh yeah.
Reblox, did you just low-key called me a gay expert? I looked up the XKCD, by the way.
Yeah, and that way works like this. We take our 16-digit binary number and we break it down into two 8-digit numbers. Two 8-digit. And we break it down into two 8-digit numbers. Now,
Oh my goodness.
now we just divide the left 8-digit number by the right one, and we get a rational number. So going back to our visualization, this is what it would look like for a 16-digit number that's so go.
Hold on.
Going back to our visualization, this is what it would 8-digit number by the right one, and
What the heck?
we get a rational number.
I'm gonna leave it on the screen for the entire animation because I think it's important. This can actually make it make sense. And we need to make it make sense. So that's our motto or whatever. Cortes chant.
So going back to our visualization, this is going back to our visualization. And we get a rational number.
Here you can see the numbers sticking by, which should make it a bit easier to understand. He said this, he said the thing!
Sticking by which should make it a bit easier. By which sticking by which should make it a bit easier to understand.
There we go. Now, this 1110, right? That was the number I asked you to remember. Yes, okay. What is a fascism? I don't know. Despite being European, I don't know much on the topic.
I know enough
Poles
about
usually
the topic.
there's a general trend where usually when fascism appears, Polish people tend to disappear. So we haven't really seen much fascism.
I know enough about it to be smart enough to not get started, because if I get started, I won't get started. It's better for everyone.
So going back to our visualization, this is what it would look like for a 16-digit number that's going from negative 4th power to a 12th power. And this is what it would look like with our new system. As you can see.
Okay, this. Wait, the music just ran out.
Like for a 16-digit number that's going. So going back to our visualization, this is what it would look like for a 16.
Can't really loop it. I can't just add it again.
16-digit number that's going from negative 4th power.
Yeah, perfect-ish. One, and how does that make you feel?
To a 12th power. And this is what it would look like with our new system. As you can see, the distribution is completely different, and it's no longer just a simple line. Instead, it looks more like a cone.
There we go. Piss off. Sweet, neat, fantastic, lovely, phenomenal, festive. You didn't hear that in the background, by the way. That's an unrelated sound.
Line. Instead, it looks more like a cone. Why? Well, first, let's stretch it out, having this line at the bottom instead of. Well, first, let's stretch it out, having. Why? Well, first, let's stretch it out, having this line at the bottom instead of. Why? Well, first, let's stretch it out, having this line at the bottom instead of representing
Perfect. 9 minutes 20.
negative 10,000 to a 10,000. Let's have it represent from negative 5 instead of representing negative 10,000 to a 10,000. Let's have it represent from negative 500 to a represent from negative 500 to a 500. Great.
Okay. First 10 minutes finished. That's good. That's good stuff. You're going on the good pace. That's great. Oh, Jose. Now we can zoom onto these dots to see. Now we can zoom onto these dots to actually see what they mean. And so here we go. First, let's start by remembering what everything means. Left to right, we have what value our numbers represent, starting at 0 and then going up. This is just a number, good old mathematics. Next, we'll have the binary configuration, which will be a 16-digit binary number, and up and down just means us going over these binary numbers in an integer-like fashion. Now, the way I'm explaining it could be a tad bit confusing, but so here you have these numbers slowly ticking up, and here's them ticking up faster. I do believe that it should be all clear. So far. If not, I'd really recommend rewatching the video and then eventually it should click. And with that in mind, let's introduce the way we interpret these binary numbers, and the idea is simple. We take the first bit and we'll use it as a sign. So 0 means positive, 1 means negative. Next 9 digits will represent the top of our equation, and the last 6 digits at the bottom, meaning that as we... Fucking hell, I can't read apparently. Whatever, let's do this first. At some point I'm gonna run out of animations, at which point I'll have to be both recording, editing and animating, which will slow down the process significantly, but so far we're going pretty quick, which is good. Hi, the Penta Square. Hi, welcome.
Hi, hello, hi.
Great. Now we can zoom onto these dots to see. Now we can zoom onto.
Who was this person who just joined and left?
What do you mean?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Macaroni. Hi, welcome. How you doing?
I'm pretty okay.
Haven't seen you before. Welcome to stream.
Yeah, I'm new here. New Patreon.
Well, first of all, thank you so very much. My electricity bill
support
appreciates
things
it.
I want to see more of. So,
How convenient. I am just right now working on the new video.
cool.
Now we can zoom onto these dots to
Thank you. I will try to do more stuff then. Well, so how is your day going?
actually see what they mean.
Pretty good.
Oh, I've done such a mess with these animations. This one is the actual one. Yes, there we go. I keep thinking that this visualization is garbage, because, I mean, I was really happy with the way I represented these dots. Because, I mean, I implemented it properly.
These dots to actually see what they mean.
Oh, another fun fact, actually. Hold on. One thing that's pretty funny is the way I did these geometry nodes. Is actually, I wanted all of this to be automatic. So, like, you just select the binary number and it just creates that binary number right here. It gets the appropriate value. It gets this number. It gets, like, the lines properly. And I might have gone a bit overboard with the way I implemented it, because I really could have just kept it as separate objects instead of this absolute mess. Which could be in the list of like top 5 biggest node trees I've done in Blender. It's perfectly fine and readable though. If you're dyslexic, I suppose.
Dots to actually see what they mean. And so here we go. First, let's start by remembering what
Yeah, I'm sorry, Macaron, you've joined in at an awkward stream because the editing streams are the most boring ones.
Okay. understandable.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm running out of hours in a day to do it, though.
Let's go. First,
I
let's
need to be multitasking on stream.
start by remembering what everything means. Left to right, we have
To right, we have values. This.
what value our numbers represent. Start value our numbers represent. Starting at 0 and then going up. Starting at 0 and then going up. And
Wait, does it end at 20? Of course it doesn't. I just done it not improperly. Oh, great. Of course. Why didn't it render the last frame? It should be 25, not 24.9691. Well, it doesn't matter why. Well, there's what I'm gonna do about it.
value our numbers represent. Starting at 0 and then going up. This is just a number. Good old mathematics. Next we'll have the binary configuration.
Everyone, don't mind the sounds in the background. That is definitely not cookie clicker because I am not addicted to that game and I
This
can just
is
focus on one thing at a
good old
time.
mathematics. Next we'll have the binary configuration, which will be
Press X to doubt.
No, there is nothing on the other screen. Those are just schizophrenic delusions. That is just mass hallucination.
which will be a
Oh god, they're back.
16-digit binary.
not the sponge room again, not the rubber room.
This will be a 16-digit binary number, and up and down just means us
Not the
going
grippy
over these
socks.
And the groupie socks.
binary numbers in an integer-like fashion. Now, the way I'm explaining it could be a tad bit confusing, but so here you can over these binary numbers in an integer-like fashion.
Whenever I edit my scripts, it makes me feel like when I actually script them, when I write them down, I'm drunk. Because there is no way any human speaks this
So
way.
here you have these numbers slowly ticking up, and here's them
Well, no, but like,
faster.
it's a
be fair, I
YouTube
am.
video, and with a YouTube video,
Believe that it
there's
should be all clear.
how's it called?
I do believe
Wait,
I mean, also,
Forgot the name.
to be fair, I'm not really a human, immortal being of pure information, that sort of thing. You know,
Oh.
it's a deity kind of thing. You mortals wouldn't understand.
I do believe that it should
oh, so
be
you're
all
like
clear.
somebody who
I do
spawned
believe
from
that it should be-
code, like a troll.
Well, I mean,
or-
that's pretty mean.
No, but I want to try to understand how that works. Like, are you like a troll who spawned from code and goes around trolling people, and you're just pure algorithm, or is it more something metaphysical?
Hold on, I need to. This is my honest reaction to this information. That is, you just said something so mortal coded. Like, honestly, your lack of divinity is showing.
I do believe that it should be all clear.
Some people think I have a god complex. I really don't get it though. A god complex
Hey.
would suggest that it doesn't exist. That I'm not a god. I just
I
silly.
believe that it should be all clear so far. If not, I'd really recommend rewatching the video and then. evaluate.
Macaroni, would you allow me
And with
to
that in
take a
mind, let's
guess
introduce
on where you're from based on your accent?
Okay, sure.
Quick doxing
Are you
session.
Swedish?
No.
Dang it! All right, I'm out of guesses.
One try and just completely defeated.
And with that in mind, let's introduce.
I don't know.
the
You
way
have
we
a similar
interpret these
accent to M1,
numbers.
and
With that in
M1
mind,
is
let's
Swedish. And
introduce the way
yep.
we interpret these
You do
Okay.
realize that for most other countries, right? There are like groups of countries that have a similar accent. Like, for example, it's kind of hard to differentiate between any of the Germanic languages or any of the Latin languages. You know, you just
Okay,
they all have similar
please-
accents. It's just
can't
you
tell
who
me
has like a lone language with no relatives.
Here's them ticking
First of all, that's very cool to have a law language. Second, you can't tell me that like German accent, like you can't tell me that Theo and M1 have the same accent.
They do. What do you mean? Well, not the same, but a similar one.
Theo and M1.
Yeah, they just have a different voice.
No, their accents are so different.
I don't think you should be allowed to talk about accents, Timon. You are Hungarian. you don't get to decide. You don't get to have a vote here.
Okay, fair enough.
And the idea is simple. And if
So was it
let's
all?
introduce the way we interpret these binary numbers.
Yep.
Okay, I'm from Austria.
Oh, Timon! Germanic language. How could Swedish ever sound similar to German, Timon, huh? Wow, I wonder. I love it when I'm proven right without even trying. I will accept the formal apology now. Okay. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And people still question my judgment, honestly. that was actually the best way this could have gone.
The idea is simple. We take the first bit and we'll use it as a sign. So 0.
No, the first thing I forgot I was working on it. I was trying to be productive or whatever I'm doing in my life.
Bit and we'll use it as a sign. So 0 means positive. First bit.
Yes, do I sound American? You kind of do. Well, you do. You do sound American. But I mean, you are American. You're just not from the US of A. Stars and stripes and whatnot. The answer was one of the yeah.
Take the first bit and we'll...
Losing my mind. I am fine and sane. Honestly, this video has a 10-minute long build up to the actual thing I find interesting. 10 minutes! I could have done it in 3. Why? That's what happens when you just don't think when you do stuff. I don't think, therefore I'm not.
First bit and we'll use it as a sign. Bit and we'll use it as a sign.
Damn.
90. There we go.
Sign. So 0 means positive, 1 means negative. Next 9 digits.
Redo the whole thing. I've basically like half a day to finish the video. That's a great idea. Oh my goodness, when I was working with Flame, it was so awful because normally I just let things slide in my videos. When something is boring, I do remove it, but normally it would need to be a pretty severe error in order for me to actually change up the animation. But with Flame, I was so worried because he was actually going to pick himself to that in his research. So I actually had to remake every single animation until it's done properly, and at the end, I was just losing it with the harmonic oscillations on different orbitals, and just had to model like the functions representing all of them and the overlap between them. Doing it in Manim would have been such a much better idea because it was made to do it, but I didn't know what the animation would look like till the very end. I should think more. Just in general. -100, -200, does that look good?
But also like fancy, flashy, glowing 3D animations look way better than Manim.
Yeah, I mean, Manim is pretty close to glowing. Actually, could I amend Manim to make it glow more? That's a maybe.
Manim is, I don't know, still like, it looks nice, but it's like boring, and the Blender is just flashes of color and
Yeah,
light.
in
and then
Blender, I've set up different 3D makers on Fire for 3 different videos, but I won't tell you all which ones.
will represent the top of our equation.
You just have to figure out
in the
that
last
out for yourself.
In the last six,
And I've set my real self on fire. No, I can't even count that. That's some amount. I don't remember. I don't keep that number in my mind. Yeah, this video will require a couple of watches to understand, unfortunately.
bottom, meaning that as we
Oh no, I'll
In
have
the
to
last
watch
6
the guy
digits at
like
the bottom.
watching more, watch more.
But that's not really a good thing. I wouldn't say though. That's the opposite of that's quantity over quality. You know how everyone says quantity over quality. That's like the thing everyone loves. I'd rather have more garbage than fewer good stuff. Okay, hold on. I need to record the next segment first.
of our equation, in the last 6 digits at the bottom,
Where's the last 6 digits at the bottom? There we go. Meaning that as we slowly increase the binary numbers, this is what it will look like. And there we go. Now it's time for the crucial part, the part in which we set the value equal to what we get out of our equation, or in other words, the dot. And so that's what the dots mean. Every single new number that we can represent using this system is itself represented as a dot, and with that in mind, we can discuss the pattern. First we have a bit of a line at the bottom. The reason why this line is there is because it's just the first 63 numbers. What's wrong with me? Am I drunk right now, or was I drunk when I wrote this? Why am I struggling so much with reading text? That's one of the first things you learn in anyone's life. I'm fine. Just need to calm down. I'm an adult.
as we slowly increase the binary numbers,
I can deal with this. Let's try it over.
equation, in the last 6 digits at the bottom,
And the last 6 digits at the bottom, meaning that as we slowly increase the binary number, this is what it will look like. There we go. Now it's time for the crucial part, the part in which we set the value equal to what we get out of our equation, or in other words, the dot. And so that's what the dots mean. Every single new number that we can represent using this system is itself represented as a dot. And with that in mind, let's discuss the pattern. First, we have a bit of a line at the bottom. The reason why that line is there is because for the first 63 numbers, all of it is just 0 divided by something. So just a 0. Then all of these dots right here are there because I defined x divided by 0 as 0. Okay, it had to be something. I will not explain myself to you. Going back to the start though, every single time the teal number jumps up, our actual number gets set to its maximum, because we just divided by 1. Then as we begin increasing the bottom number, we're actually decreasing the complete value, dividing it by a higher and higher number each time, until we fill the bottom number, at which point we move it up, and we move our value to the right. Hi Tefta, how you doing?
Hello. Hi, Dorta.
Good. I just finished a new PCB design. How are you?
Oh, what for this time?
The Lask 5, the labeler.
Oh,
but
that
it's a
makes sense.
4-layer PCB, which I've never done before. Super excited. I worked on it all day yesterday.
Actually, I have a bit of a question, because I want to for a practical video,
Yeah.
I want to design a PCB. I want to learn how to design it properly, and I was trying to brainstorm some ideas for what to do. Because the last time with the controller, I genuinely thought I learned a lot with the 3D printing, for example. I thought that the case, which was actually what I wanted, that was very neat. But
Yeah.
the PCB at the back would have helped a
Yeah.
lot. The wires are.
Just
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way because the wires are so giant, right? So in order to like
Exactly.
prototype, you almost need to do PCBs. But the cost is so inexpensive that it's worth learning it.
I know. That's why I
Because
want one. Yeah.
oh yeah, I'd be happy to. What count me in.
I mean, I just need
Whatever
to
that looks
brainstorm
like,
some
count me
idea.
in.
Actually, as well, Timon and Macaroni. Do you all have any ideas for what I should build? Future
No.
video reveal. I'm not worried about future revealing that, although because there's another video which is even cooler, and that video I will keep a secret. So I'm not worried about revealing this practical video.
Well, what's a functional tool that you want? Because I mean,
That's
you
the
literally can
problem.
build yourself anything.
That is the problem though, because most of the tools I use are software based, and I've been making these tools for years. I'm really good at making them. So the hardware one is the difficult part.
Is there like a video tool, like what that clicker thing where it shows what scene that you're recording? I don't know, like something that would be
a sub
make
counter?
sense.
That's a good one, Reblox. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because hold on, how many digits? 5, right? 65,000. Yeah, 5. Oh, let's do 6. Why not? Dream big. 6 different circuits for something doesn't matter. The important part is actually connect. Reblox. That's phenomenal. That is
awesome.
great. So basically, 6 different things. What they will be doesn't matter. What will matter though is that every single one of them will have an SPI interface, and I will need to make some kind of PCB that will support iteration between 6 of them. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Tefta, you can correct me on this. If you have a design like this, then you don't actually want 6 different SPIs. Only what you want is a singular input and then a chip that just selects between them, right?
Yeah, so you're gonna have to have one wire for the chip select for each of them, but they share all the other wires.
Oh, then I don't need to. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I forgot that chip select is part of SPI.
Yeah,
it broke.
but it depends because SPI is pretty heavy, and it depends on what you're doing, right? So I2C is less wires, and you don't even need a chip select wire. So I2C goes off of addresses, but you have to find devices that have changeable addresses, and usually those are jumper pins. So
but
it depends on like what display you're wanting, how you're wanting to display this.
Yeah, because that's the question. Wouldn't SPI then be better for learning purposes if it's gonna be? Because I2C, I'll be honest, I don't know how I2C works. Well, I need to quickly look this up.
I2C is just like SPI but simplified. It literally only has one wire. That's the data.
How does it work? How does it work with one wire?
Well, yeah, because it's just half duplex, right? So duplex is forward and back. So half duplex means it can only send one direction at one time.
Oh, you mean like that? For a second, I feel like completely just one wire, as in just one. Okay, no, then that makes sense.
Now, mind you, that's what I'm working on. I'm working on a video where I'm actually making a real single wire protocol. And I'm working my way up to it. Like literally one wire. It has the power, it has the data signal, it has everything. And it will be based off of I2C.
There is a way that could work, certainly. Not easy. It doesn't matter. Hold on, I'm getting sidetracked because we've had this conversation already. Let's not repeat. Yeah. Okay, I do. No, I think SPI would be better. I think
it depends. What are you gonna show the info on?
Well,
is it gonna be like a 14 segment, LED number display?
I think for learning purposes, if I want to do something difficult enough for me to actually learn, a good idea would be to not have a clue about what this is going to show, only basically make it like an adapter. So basically SPI to 6 SPI adapter. So that then, I can make this counter using 6 different matrix displays, 6 different... any display of any kind. the point is that, you know, Raspberry Pi, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to switch to Raspberry Pi. I tried the ESP, but my love for the Raspberry Pis is too great. Also, I have like 7 of them just sitting in the back doing absolutely nothing, collecting dust. I need to change it up. So like, I imagine like a Raspberry Pi and like an adapter that would change the SPI from a Raspberry Pi into 6 outputs. And also, ideally, that would also provide charging. That would also, no, not the charging circuit, maybe, let's not get crazy, but it would also provide power to the Raspberry Pi. I feel like that would be a good idea for a PCB. Thank you, Reblax. That was good. That's a good idea. That would be a phenomenal PCB actually. Work. Yeah. Well, then I'm gonna add that to the list of things that I need to do. I've just been getting overworked recently. It's fine. I can manage. I'm having a problem where I basically need to find a day to organize my work, but I have so much work to do I cannot find that day. It's
you need
fine.
an assistant.
I do. Believe it or not, I'm kind of working on that. I'm trying.
Awesome.
Yeah, foreshadowing. I'm working on. Well, I'm not quite. I don't want to say an assistant. Only more like someone to help me with the videos. Foreshadowing.
Unpaid intern.
Unpaid intern. Literally an unpaid intern. Not figuratively. Literally an unpaid intern. Yeah, I am working on. I don't know if I should review it publicly. I don't know. Well, whatever.
And the last.
And the
6
last.
digits at the bottom.
6 digits at the bottom. Okay, so that's the.
And the last 6 digits.
There we go. So that's where it should go. I need to because I am so much. The problem is that not just the videos. Tomorrow it's day 800 live stream, which means I'm gonna be playing Doom Eternal for every single death I donate to charity. I am so sorry, Macaroni. I know you just gave me the money on Patreon, but I'm about to spend it all on charity. This is the way I roll. Unfortunately, can't do anything about it.
Okay.
With the way of life. Well, unless I'm good at the game. If I'm good at the game, I won't have to spend. The last time was just $150. How bad could it be this time? So... And for tomorrow, I actually wanted to fix up the website. I wanted to fix up the pie chart. I already made like a scraper for the charity data. I already made a way to update the data on the pie chart. I made these tools, but I don't have the time to actually bundle them together into a better website because I just keep working on this.
And the last 6 digits at the bottom, meaning that as we slowly increase.
Okay. So I guess I should just shut up and get back to work, honestly. If I just stopped complaining for a second, it would just save me so much time.
You probably already know this, but you know the Portal network that you have on your Discord server?
I
Well, it's
do.
on a lot of other servers, and you are ranked as #1. Your
Oh
Discord
yeah, I've noticed.
on all of them, and I was like, "Oh wow, Make It is like getting advertisement on Qualcomm server, like all these other crazy."
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken,
Discord servers.
it's actually probably due to Timon, because I'm pretty certain that Timon just like rallied everyone to on the spamming channel to just /vote every day.
Okay, it wasn't
is-
me. I didn't do. I only voted once.
Oh,
and I
only,
didn't.
okay. I just saw you
I
do
didn't
it.
do anything.
I just saw you do it. I just saw you convince people to do it once, so that's why I thought.
Oh yeah, when Makeshift came back and asked what it was, I said I have no idea, but vote for it because why not? And that's all I did. But like, but by that time you had like 100 votes, so.
It was no one make it. When you say no one, do you mean the person no one, or do you mean like no one did it? When you say that it was no one made it, because like we do have someone who's called no one and someone who's called somebody here, which like I would like a clarification, please.
Meaning that as we slowly.
But I do think it's funny that like Fixer they contacted me about the Portal network and we just took it off.
Yeah. And it's in a lot of other servers. So like you're getting advertising for your channel on other
I don't
servers.
honestly care for. I didn't honestly add the Portal network for the sake of advertising. I just added it because I thought it was a cool thing. The Portal network itself, like gathering together a bunch of different people who are really interested. And finally, I'm starting also my own DIY thing. So finally, I can start to fit in. Not be the weird guy who just talks about quantum mechanics all the time.
Meaning that as we slowly increase
You're not the
binary
outcast
number,
anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
This
I think that's
Becoming mainstream.
Yeah, I am becoming, yes, slowly. Our plan of world domination is advancing.
My God, gotta leave the Patreon then. Sorry.
I am the mainstream media now.
Maybe I think that someone accidentally figured out that you can vote and voted in the spamming channel, and other people saw it and just did it because why not? And
For the
that would
first
be
time
like-
ever, the spamming channel was useful for something. I added it there because I foresaw the day. I knew that one day there will be a need for it. I had a glimpse of the future. I have these prophecy moments in my life. It's one of
that as
them.
we slowly increase the binary number, this is what it will look like. There we go. Now it's time for the crucial part, the part in which we set the value.
Let me do this. This is
When
funny.
you have a second, can you take a look at the image of the 4-layer PCB I made in charity checkups?
Oh, can I show it on stream?
Yes, yes.
All right.
It is
Oh,
the
that
most
looks.
complicated thing I've ever
My
done.
goodness. My
And
goodness.
it's just, it took eight hours.
My goodness. It looks complicated, I do have to say.
And it's 4-layer PCB. I'm usually doing 2. So the 2 center ones, one of them is a ground fill, and one of them is a 3v3 fill. So I use vias to tap in to pass through the levels to attach to ground or 3v3. And I did, yeah. So
That is. Wait, is that all 4 layers? That's all 4 layers showing at once, isn't it?
that's correct, yeah. And so if I took off the middle 2 layers, here's what just the outer 2 layers.
They
look
have
like.
different. They are color coded different colors, right? The red is the top. The middles are the light grayish ones.
Green and orange.
Okay.
Yeah, green and orange.
Let's not get radicalized over what color is that, green, red or orange. But this is. Oh yeah.
And then that's without the 2 middle layers. It just shows the top and bottom layer.
What's the? Oh my goodness. It is a lot. I do have to say. I love how we've reached. Basically, there is a point. I didn't think it actually existed, but there is a point where, all of these, like memes with really complicated things. Hold on, let me show you what I mean exactly. There is a point, which I didn't think existed, where things that look like they were scripted just to look complicated are actual genuine things that are actually unironically created out of some reason. This doesn't look like a PCB. This looks like what would happen if you told an AI to generate a really complicated PCB.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to see that how basically something can genuinely get this complicated and convoluted just because
And be functional.
yeah, and be functional because I like get complicated and convoluted because it's supposed to be functional, not for the reason of just complicating it. Because why not?
Yeah.
My goodness.
And like a lot of the complexity comes because you want to keep certain, like you have a signal line. You want to make sure that it's not having like error by having another line beside it or doing certain things. So you'd have to adhere to certain rules. And like, I was like, ooh, 4 layers. That will be easy. It was actually more difficult than 2. I thought I have four options instead of 2 options. That should make it easier. No.
But actually, you need to think about it in
Meaning that
layers.
as we
That's
slowly increase the binary
well.
number,
I'm just gonna start with 1 layer. I feel like that's a good start for me.
2 layers. 2 layers is good.
this is what it will look like.
Like because that's the cheapest.
Now
I don't even know if some of them.
It shows what I know. I didn't even know that. I...
it's time for the crucial part. The part
Time in
I don't
doing
know if you
oddly.
can order one layer.
I thought you did on PCB way. I thought that was an option. Or am I crazy?
part in which we
Well,
set
I
the
know you're
boundary.
crazy, but whether or not they sell
yeah, that makes
their
sense.
PCB, yeah, they do. They sell.
By the way, you're the first person ever to respond with "I know you're crazy, but," which I respect. Honestly, thank you, Tefta. I appreciate it. I take that as a huge compliment.
As one crazy person to another.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
exactly.
I like to call myself eccentric, though.
By the way, someone commented very recently on that video, the practical one, with timestamp to when you appear, and they commented something along the lines of like, "That's so real." And I'm glad to see that a bunch of people survived to that point and actually saw that bit, because that was a very funny bit.
Now it's time for the crucial part. The part in which we set
It
the
wasn't
boundary.
lost. That's good.
The fact how you just snap into existence with like moving a full robot hand is just. I like that a lot.
Equal to what we get out of our equation.
Oh, damn it.
What's this video on?
This video, it's the cool one. I mean, kind of, it started off
Oh,
cool.
it's computer science.
It is. That's the thing I'm really proud of with. Oh, now let me show you
Finally
my
adjusted.
incoherent babbling about incoherent
Yeah.
lines connected together. This is my version of your PCB.
Did you figure out what that curve was at the very beginning?
Oh yeah. This is yeah. I'm on to the second visualization now, because basically that one makes perfect sense. I fixed it basically. Open recent practice run 8, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. So basically, like I fixed it so that the purple line that shows you the binary numbers as they go up, and the greenish line shows you the value they correspond to. And in this case, they are perfectly matched from the very beginning. And the curve right here going upwards, that's the number getting divided more and more like this. So that's for the rational. But then there is also the actual way floating point are stored. That's the IEE standard with the exponent. And in this case, what I really like is that it really can get big. That's because this is basically a really tiny fraction multiplied to the negative 15th power. Hence why it gets so big. It's whatever, 0.00 whatever to the negative 15th power, which means it just flips and all of a sudden it becomes V100 to the 15th power. And that's how the number just gets so quickly so massive. And yeah, so this one is also pretty neat because it shows how you can represent also really massive numbers. And another great thing is that once it flips, once the powers become positive, no longer negative, we get this. We get the representation of only numbers between 0 and 1, which is exactly how IEE is able to represent both really massive numbers and really small numbers without losing information. So right here are all the powers that shoot off to infinity. You can see that the density is greater right here than it is right here. So basically, the greater the number, the less the likelihood of it being represented. However, and so the density is massive between 0 and 1, and then it shoots off. I already knew that that was the case. I feel like that's something that every programmer knows on some level. That's how it works, but it's really nice to see it actually represented.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and so right here, every single jump, if I'm not mistaken, is shows you when the powers get greater. So let me guess, if we fill up the bottom number completely, then right here we can see.
Then it switches to the next power.
Yeah, it reaches the end, and then it goes up to the higher power. Or just keeps going. I could have implemented it in a cleaner way,
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, hey,
that is awesome.
if you ever want to like animate something with Python, I finally know how it works.
Yes, I will pick your brain.
So for example, now I'm able to, this makes animations using shape keys, which is pretty good. It's honestly, it wasn't easy to set it up. It's surprisingly annoying because how should I put this? Basically, like, you need to know how it's implemented in the Blender to then implement it in Python, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you probably need to call the object. So you need to specify.
Yeah, but the problem is that when you call an object, so for example, really often that's the case that like you're adding a position, but it turns out that the position struct isn't a vector, only it's like a Blender specific struct that includes a vector of position. Do you know what I mean? So for example,
Yeah.
Yes, for example,
you have to know
vertices.
how Blender handles it.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, the vertices object, you can't set it to a vector of x, y, z. Only, if I'm not mistaken, instead you need to v.co set it to x, y, z. Which, I mean, yeah, this is trivial example, obviously, this is easy. But later on, it gets fairly annoying when you're dealing with stuff like the shape keys, for example, where you need to add a new one, isn't the basis. Trial and error, honestly. Just amend the code until it works. the true way of a scientist.
Now it's time for the crucial part.
Also, I like how right here I'm stopping on the last keyframe, and last keyframe is literally 2 divided by 0. The most reasonable of numbers. My favorite number to represent.
The part in which we set the value equal to what we get out. Part in which we set
This is
the
going to be a good one.
I thought so as well, but it turns out it actually took me 10 minutes to just give the context for just getting there. And now I don't know. I was really happy with this visualization, but I don't know if it's 10 minutes kind of good. I don't know if it's worth 10 minutes.
Well, what's the hook at the beginning? Like how you drawing people
I
in?
haven't made it yet because I specifically wanted to first finish the animations to then see what the hook will be. On one hand, I don't want to clickbait, but on the other, I do want to show in the very beginning these graphs because I think they are really, really neat.
Oh, heck yeah. Because I think that people will be interested in that. So if that was part of the hook, I think people are going to watch a 30-minute video.
Yeah, that's why on the very beginning, I thought just about saying, okay, the first 10 minutes of this video aren't great, but just bear with me. The graphs will be neat.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people do. Skip to this section if you just want to see the awesome whatever sometimes. But
actually,
yeah,
I can do this as well. If you know how binary numbers work, you can skip like the first however many minutes. Or you can skip first 5 minutes easily. Because this is just me explaining binary numbers. I will probably also make a sequel because now that I set it up, it's actually really easy for me to make different ways to visualize these. I could make them even better, but it doesn't matter. So I thought about making a sequel where we just interpret binary numbers in different ways and see what the graphs look like. I just show the graphs in like a preview way. Yeah, that's what I thought. The only problem is that with the graphs as well, I would also need to like explain why the graph is interesting. Windows, you okay? There we go. I would need to also like explain why the graph is interesting, not just show it, because this is just a bunch of dots.
well, what's interesting is that this is how computers look at floating point numbers, right? Essentially.
Yes.
And when you run a calculation on a computer, the fact that it can perfectly give you an output is odd because there's all these gaps. So how on earth is the computer able to handle any math operation when you got giant gaps in these number systems?
Yeah, so that's like the point, right? It just can't give you the perfect number. The famous 0.1 plus 0.2 giving the floating point error, which is precisely them. Actually, the point
and so
of
that
this...
that sets it up like because most people think that computers are perfect, and then you type in a calculation, it's going to give you the calculation perfectly.
The thing is, they are perfect. It's just that really often people don't understand what that perfect means. Because, I mean, when you give it a calculation to do, it will do that calculation perfectly within its own rules. If you give it a square root of 2, then the problem is that you're not actually giving it a square root of 2. You're giving it an approximation of the square root of 2. I mean, there is also a way to sidetrack it. Like, there is a difference between calculators and like programs that actually calculate stuff. So I think Wolfram Alpha works this way. But to be fair, I have no idea how Wolfram Alpha works. I don't know if you've ever used Wolfram Alpha.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, this incredibly useful thing. I used it when I was working on the Fourier transforms, when I wanted to just change my equation into the Fourier transform of it. I just, instead of trying even, I just gave it to Wolfram Alpha. And funny enough, the first couple of versions of the equation, Wolfram Alpha just couldn't do it because the equations were too large. So then I had to make them smaller, unfortunately.
We get out of our equation. Or in other words,
Wolfram Alpha is like what I thought the future would look like. The access to that. You would think that that would be like built into every electronic device.
Yeah. Eventually
Like-
it will be, probably. Hopefully.
Yeah.
How big
If
is
I had a basketball
quantized?
made of neutrinos and I threw it up 5 kilometers while traveling on a train, you know, how much light would be created by the whatever?
Could you fit a quantized Wolfram Alpha? Because wait, is Wolfram Alpha definitely has some neural net, but could you fit it on the Raspberry Pi?
I mean, you could
Raspberry Pi
probably.
5. You could probably, to be fair, okay, that I'm the fool for asking. Like anything, you could fit anything if you try hard enough, right?
Yeah. Would it be useful? No. Like,
I thought that.
I mean, because you can run large language models on a Raspberry Pi, but you get like 0.01 tokens per second.
Yeah. I thought that we would have
I'm running
flying.
DeepSeek R1.
I thought that we would have flying taxis. I heard that on the radio. We are in the age of information. Unfortunately, take it as you will. Unfortunately, flying taxis aren't just information.
and so that's what the dots mean. Every single
That's
new
because
number
nothing ever happens.
Exactly, nothing ever happens. That is so true.
we can represent.
I love. It's such a shame that I had a person, someone who read this like science a while back on stream. It was a couple 100 days ago. They just scarred me so much I haven't forgotten about them. Where basically they thought we should move away from science, specifically from physics, because their argument basically was that nothing ever happens. Oh yeah, the last big break in physics was like a couple of decades ago, or 6 decades ago. And I had to explain to them, well, I mean, yeah, okay, last time we discovered something in physics was 6 decades ago. Well, actually, that's not even true either. That's the last time something that's widely known in the mainstream was discovered. We keep discovering new things in physics all the time. So, like, yeah, last time something famous happened in physics was 6 decades ago. However, there are still a bunch of things we don't know. Theory of everything. We don't have that.
Yeah.
Also, like
Remco.
the Higgs boson was discovered like a decade ago, so like.
Exactly. Well, I
and-
mean, yeah, but that gets a bit blurry, doesn't it? Because you have the whole theorized versus discovered. I wouldn't say that Higgs boson was discovered a decade ago. I would say it was confirmed. Because if I like the whole point of the Large Hadron Colliders, right? The reason why physicists just want one more Hadron Collider, okay? Just one more. One less Hadron Collider, and we'll solve all physics. Just one more Hadron Collider, just one bigger one. That's it. The reason why physicists...
more.
Yeah, just one more, and then we'll solve all physics.
Come on.
The reason why
I
physicists
was
want
actually
this...
researching the Kuhn's revolution, which it talks about how scientific revolutions happen. And actually, and that's kind of what people mean by physics hasn't had a really breakthrough, because we still don't understand why all these kind of pop out. So we might just be hobbling on theories on a system that is about to have a revolution. And
Yes.
so once enough anomalous data happens, and the Kuhn's, he says that science doesn't just progress evenly. It will pile up all these anomalies. They won't make sense. They'll try to fit it into the model, won't work, and then a new model that fits
Exactly.
better will be found, and it lurches forward like this crazy leap.
Exactly, it's exploration versus exploitation, where you create a new model, improve it till you can't anymore, and new model gets created, improve it, and so on and so forth, each time, like, advancing more and more. Which is precisely why Remco's theory of the graviton is so especially silly, and why he should not be treated seriously with it. No one should trust him. But
Like loop quantum gravity. Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, the quantum gravity, the gravitons, yeah, where basically... This is actually comical because the graviton as a particle would have to be, for the lack of a better word, so weak. You know how difficult it was to discover neutrinos?
Difficult.
Yeah, it was extremely difficult because they only interact with the weak interaction, which you won't believe it, but it's kind of weak. Hence the name.
No way.
Yeah, it's crazy, I know. So that's why neutrinos were so difficult to discover. However, fundamental interactions. Weak interaction is a bit of a misnomer because it's actually unbelievably strong in comparison to gravity. What was the order of magnitude? 10 to the 30 something? There we go. Weak interaction is actually 10 to the 33 times more powerful than gravity. So when you have a graviton, it's comical because you cannot rely on any of these forces to discover it. You can only rely on this one, and you're working with an elementary particle, which is mind-numbingly difficult to discover. There's also a bunch of other problems, the renormalization thing, the fact that you need 5 dimensions in order for a graviton to make sense. You know, normal, typical physicists babbling on stuff.
That's why I still say that. I think that the electromagnetism is not understood well because of Maxwell's equations.
I do believe that electromagnetism
we
is...
We bastardize Maxwell's equations into 4, and we threw out the baby with the bathwater. And even NASA now is talking about extended electrodynamics. They had one of their podcasts, their Futures podcast, talking about exploring that avenue.
I do believe that...
And if you watch some experts, they still don't understand magnetism. They're still bickering on electromagnetism.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that the biggest issue there is that when it comes to fundamental interactions, there's clear division. That's because you have quantum chromodynamics, you have electromagnetism, and now technically, actually, you could set it up as a 3. So basically, electroweak theory, what it's called, where basically that's what happens when you take Maxwell, Einstein, and Planck, and you just chuck them into a blender. You get the electroweak interaction, which is a combination of the electromagnetic and the weak interaction. And like it's mad that they just separate. That's way above my pay grade. Even I don't know how it works. And I research quantum mechanics for fun, which, well, it's pretty sad life. But the point is that there is a clear division between how the 3 most powerful forces work versus gravity. And there is also a solid possibility that trying to combine gravity into a fundamental interaction is just completely flawed approach. In which case, well, I mean, this case would be the most similar to the status quo, where we basically treat gravity completely differently. Every single other one has a elementary particle, and gravity just doesn't, because it's magic. But
it is magic.
It is. It really is. I love the field in physics. Which is, oh yeah, you can't have things just interact at a distance with no medium. That would be magic. Instead, they have a field. What is a field? Well, that's the thing that allows them to interact at a distance with no medium. It's not magic, totally.
As a wizard, I can confirm that it's magic.
And it would be. That's like the definition of magic.
But, yeah.
I'm sorry, oh yeah, no, totally. This is just energy causing a force. Yeah, that's totally not spending mana in order to cast a spell, right? Big science is lying to us. I mean, I guess in quantum mechanics it makes a little bit more sense because the fields are quantized, which means you do have particles moving around, but gravity is just still just chilling there. Witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
This system is itself represented as
I also stumbled across a Bozeman brain. Which is interesting. It's like a kind of like a mind experiment, but like they're saying that it is easier for a brain just to magically exist out of nowhere instead of the universe to actually exist with all of its physical laws in place.
Oh yeah,
and so
yeah, but there's one problem with that though.
I'd never heard of that before.
There is a problem with that because basically, if you have a mind, so it's a bit of a circular reasoning kind of problem. So you have the universe, right? Now within the rules of the universe, it says that it's more likely for like this, for the brain to exist out of random matter, rather than the brains that we're used to right now. Right? A universe is infinite, lasts forever, so it's more likely for a brain to just form out of random gases. However, this brain doesn't actually need to hold true information. It could just be hallucinating a completely different universe, which means the observations of this brain, the laws of physics that this brain thinks exist, would be different in our universe. So this would be like a U2, which would then mean that if we're this brain, then we wouldn't know if the laws of the universe are what we believe, which means that we cannot trust the rules of the universe that tell us that this brain is more likely. Does that make sense? If we are...
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
if you have to have a universe. But what they're saying is that the brain could just magically exist with its memories included for
Yes.
the universe. Yeah, where is it being created in? So, but we're given the fact that we do exist, or whatever it is that we call existence exists.
Yeah.
It's like the
So,
modern
yeah, it
version
seems
of
very
ergo
odd.
cogito sum.
Modern version of what?
It's more like the modern version of ergo cogito sum. Like the fact that you can think is the fact that you exist, but you don't know anything else about existence itself.
Depends how deep you wanna...
Solipsism.
Okay, Tefta's actually hobby
Solipsism
is meta
yeah.
reasoning.
essentially.
So Tefta can go way more in depth than I can on this. But I don't really like the whole I think therefore I am, if I'm to be honest. Because you think therefore you think you are. I don't like it because it's you say that you exist
I quasi-exist.
Yeah, you say that you exist before you think. However, that's only because you think you have your own perception of the rules of logic. And what if your logic is wrong? What if existence doesn't exist? What if the whole concept is just null and void? What then?
Yeah,
you think I think
also
therefore I
thought about
don't.
that once.
And try to imagine logic without time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the problem of
Right?
meta
And that's,
reasoning.
that's
Eventually,
another constraint, because all logic is bound by time. You can't have logic without time, which is interesting.
or maybe you
So
can.
it's
We just
like-
don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Like, what would a
Because-
static logic look like?
That's the
had no
annoying
sequential order?
thing. Basically, that's the whole abstraction thing, where basically you remove it. In mathematics, you have a single assumption, and that's the fact that we can think. That's basically the assumption we make in mathematics. We can think. That's basically the one we need in order for mathematics to work. And then as you go level deeper in meta reasoning, you don't even accept that. Like, what if we can't think? What if we just think that we can think? In which case, that's paradoxical. What if paradoxes can exist? Why not?
Good old meta epistemology.
We're getting into
And so
really
that's what
smart
Yeah.
words topics.
Meta epistemology.
number that we can represent using this system is itself
It's pretty important though. It's important a lot even right now with AI, like with alignment. It's like in order to get an aligned AI, you have to. It seems like one would want to research these things.
No, obviously, the study of intelligence. About time that we started researching that. Would it take us a couple tens of thousands of years?
First, we have a bit of a line at the
Yeah, depending by
The
what
reason why
metric.
that line is there-
Humans have been around for more than 250,000 years, or modern
The
humans.
reason
Yeah, it depends when you draw the line on began thinking.
why that line is
Well,
there
written
because
language is
for-
5,500 years, roughly.
First, we have a bit of a line at the bottom. The reason why that line is there is
Sumerian text.
First, we have a bit.
Okay,
Well, I better go. I just wanted to bug you for a bit this morning.
it's fine. I appreciate it. It's nice. It's nice to rest. Honestly, it's good to rest from time to time. Well, Irish exit. There we go. Signature move. I respect the Irish. I feel like we need to normalize the Irish exit. I dislike the fact it is not normalized. Because listen, I'm not saying I'm autistic, but like I want to just leave a conversation just by leaving without saying anything. We need that.
Oh my god.
We need that in life.
Yeah.
We need to normalize this. By the way, hold on, because I need to first set it up. I'm not playing Cookie Clicker right now, so shush. So, by the way, Macaroni, what flavor of
Yeah.
videos are you coming from? Because I have a bunch on my channel.
I'm generally pretty sure the physics stuff, but like I like pretty much all of them.
That's good. That's good because that's.
I mean, I watched them. It's not that I understand them, but I watched them.
That's the first step usually. I have a belief that if someone doesn't understand something, then that's the fault of a teacher more than a student. So if someone doesn't understand my videos, I always take that as I just didn't make a video properly enough.
No, I generally just zone out at some point. They're really interesting, and like I'm here for the math and physics, absolutely. But the last one, designing a simple computer, I generally don't know anything about coding, and I understand the basics, like the absolute basics, but like
The thing I like about this series is that this series, I do believe, will explain coding properly. Because I remember I always hated it when people were introduced into coding. I get why this happens, because people are used to introduced to coding by utility, not by logic. But basically, the way people are even introduced to coding is with abstract languages like Python and so on and so forth. Lord knows, when I explain to people how to do coding, I start with Python because it's useful. It's really useful. However, if you actually want to understand how to code, then a much better way to do it would be to start without no programming language, actually. Just start with pure computer science. The only problem is it takes much longer time, hence why the videos. Because it's gonna take a while until I get to a programming language.
But like, I'm pretty sure I'm not actually made out for programming because I'm not the kind of guy who spends hours troubleshooting.
Well, I mean, you don't need to spend hours troubleshooting if you just code it correctly on the first try, which, to be fair, never happens. It never ever happens. No one ever codes it correctly on the first try, but it's nice to hope in life.
Like, it's more like there's some problem and like you're reading through it again and again and like finding the line, where does it happen? I don't know. I think it just overload me.
That's actually a fun part of coding. That's because basically you need to, if you don't know what the problem is, which I mean, it's usually how it works, but you have some information about what the problem does. Okay, so there are two kinds of problems. There's the easy error kind and the difficult no error kind. The error kind, people always complain about errors, which is completely undeserved hatred because errors are the best thing in existence. Errors are phenomenal. I love errors. That's because when you get an error, it tells you what the error is. It's great. Like, I can start a Python, and if I do print, I don't know, 10, it's gonna print a 10. But if I do print 10, then print is not defined. Did you mean print? The error tells me what the error is, and it even tells me a possible fix. Errors are the best thing in existence, and I love them.
Okay, yeah.
The problem...
I did a similar thing in school, like CNC programming. That's easy, yeah. But like, no error problem,
yes.
I mean. Like,
now the no
mostly.
error, that is a way more difficult one. However, there is a fun to it. That's because when you have a no error problem, you know what the problem does, and it's up to you to figure out where the problem comes from. Which it's tough for me to like explain it exactly because it requires a lot of context. A while back ago, I made this thing. I called it the Ventum engine. A real long time ago. Hold on. That's the thing I always use for explaining my background with programming. Which was a graphical engine. This takes hours to explain what it was. The point is, it was a bit of a biggie, and at one point I had an issue where basically I wanted to display like an image on the screen, right? The problem was that when it comes to the image, it was my logo, but instead of displaying my logo, it displayed like a crashed version of my logo, which would look something like this, right? Which just complete mess. Now, how did that problem happen? Well, that's the whole problem. There is no errors. There's just something is going wrong, and the reason why I love it is because I to this day don't know exactly what the problem was, but I knew where it was happening. I had a struct which was saving some metadata about the image, then the image data itself, so all the pixels, and then it saved like some other stuff, whatever, right? And the problem was that right here, this was getting corrupted. This part, for some reason, probably me coding while under influence of heavy narcotics. Now, I didn't know why it was happening, and so I was so tired at this point that instead of actually figuring out why it was happening, I just moved the metadata a little bit to the left, added an empty buffer right here, move the picture data a little more to the right, and that's it. It was still getting corrupted, but I specifically just gave it more data to be corrupted. Like, I don't care, override that data, do whatever you want with it, just the error won't matter. And the process of slowly pinpointing where the error happens, yeah, it does take a lot of time, but it's just fun. It's just fun because you can just keep going with... It's hard to give it without an example. I should first finish the videos, then only then talk about computer science. Redundant data for the rot to consume. Exactly. You get what you get me, Theo. That was the sacrifice to the memory leak gods. I think the problem is that schools often start languages like C++, so people who get no idea what errors are get hit with C++ errors. I think the problem is that schools just get started with no context, which, not even computer science, just in general. No context whatsoever. Who needs it? Doesn't matter if it's computer science, chemistry, mathematics, physics, history even. I've seen it in history.
My God.
I usually don't care about like no context because I'm here to learn. I never really care if I'm gonna use what I learn. I just wanna like learn stuff. But like, my university taught big quotes on the teaching part, coding by like the professor who is paid to teach, walking in, telling us that programmers spend their entire time just Googling, so Google it all, and then walked out. And that was the entire teaching. And then they were shocked that that everyone just hated programming.
Scientists just do research, so go do research, leaves the class. That's a powerful way to teach, actually. Should do one of my videos. Oh, you want to be a physicist? Well, physicist, figure things out for yourself. Go do experiments. And then just black screen for 3 hours.
Black screen for 3 hours to go do research too.
Black screen for 3 hours to do research to every now and then broken up by bad to the bone.
Hold on, I got that on hand. Where do I have that one?
Perfect. Make it. That's the idea for next April Fools. I did miss it today. This year's April Fools. I was busy. I know. If I'll be less busy next year, I'll do something fun for April Fools. I'll send a pipe bomb to a random viewer. We'll see what I do.
Bro is not reverse Ted Kaczynski.
What do you mean reverse? That would be just Ted Kaczynski. That wouldn't be reverse. That would just be...
No. Because he wanted to limit the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, I thought... I thought that reverse Ted Kaczynski would be if one of you sent me a pipe bomb.
No. You want to advance research, so you send a random viewer of you. A pipe bomb.
Free pipe bomb giveaway.
But random viewer is like an unemployed guy or somebody who doesn't have a useful job, like I don't know, a banker.
Or send it to like environmental conversationists. Just specifically send it to different charities, just designated with fighting oil spills or just fighting climate change.
real.
101 guide to being a villain. You're welcome. Do you want my address, make it? That depends. Do you want a pipe bomb?
Okay, like
A bit
if
below
y-
at the
if
bottom.
it doesn't
Reason why
explode,
that
then
was-
want it to like know how it works, and like having one would be cool. So like just make sure that
How
that
it works
doesn't-
is simple. I can. Well, no, I
You can
can't.
make,
Hold on.
you
I
can
can't
make that at
explain it.
home.
Or
Yeah,
I
like,
I
don't
can
ex-
Google, like I have already opened.
Don't Google
like,
that, first of all. Oh, honest, jeez, Timon. Oh my goodness. First of all, don't Google that. Second of all, it's not difficult to figure out how to make one. The only thing is that... Okay, how much do I want to say on stream? Okay, so basically, doing crime is not difficult. The problem is that you will always get caught. Unless
I
you're a
know.
professional. Which you shouldn't do, by the way. Everyone watching the stream, don't do crime. I want to make that message clear. Crime is bad. Don't do crime. Doing crime
only
is my...
patrons are allowed to do crime.
No, doing crime is my least favorite thing to do. I dislike doing crime so much. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, gosh darn it. Oh, all this crime happening. Oh, I'm upset. It ruins my day. So don't do crime. Okay, don't. Now that we got that clear out of the way. About the pipe bombs. I don't... The thing is... Okay, the thing is that it's not difficult to blow stuff up. And, like, consider the fact that you don't need any kind of certificate or license to just get gasoline. And gasoline is an explosive. Okay? So, like, just consider that. Blowing stuff up is not difficult. What's more, fun, a bit of a side tangent, making poisons is not difficult. That's another curious thing.
Yeah.
Have I done it in the past? I wouldn't know. Not saying it publicly, definitely. And so the point is that, you know, you can just get gasoline. That exists. But no, the government then has to limit 1984 the things I can buy for a video. I've been wanting to make amphetamine for however long, but I can't because it's illegal. I'm upset. It's so annoying too. You can go on Wikipedia, alright, look up amphetamine. You can look it up, and right there, in here in chemistry, you just have the synthesis methods. You have a map of the synthesis methods right there. 6 different methods. One of them you can make using benzene. Alcohol would be more difficult, but yeah, it's there. Alright, but I can't do it because all of these substances are highly controlled because we just decided that we want to limit our citizens' private right to do drugs, okay? I'm just saying, honestly,
Because for the first
1984.
63 numbers,
Literally
all of
1984.
it is just 0 divided by
I
something.
mean, you're not even allowed to
So
teach
just
people
0.
how to build pipe bombs.
Exactly, it's honestly, big government. Limiting my private right to do drugs.
There is because for the first 63 numbers, all of the 63 numbers, all of it is just 0.
Oh, so the video, huh? That was what I was working on, right? bit of a tangent.
Slight bit.
Yeah, this just happens. I'm very passionate about this topic. I've been wanting to make amphetamines for quite a while for a video, but I can't.
Yes, for a video.
No, dear honor, it was for a Vine. Don't worry. I did it for the
Your
Vine.
Honor, it was really funny.
Megit, how did you get over the existential dread that you had 2 years ago about AI that worsened after watching Tom Scott's video on the topic? Well, that's simple. After 2 years of it not progressing as much as I thought it would progress, it kind of fizzles out. That's how I got over it. I honestly thought back then that in the year it was progressing so quickly. I thought that this year there would already be like we would already have most of the information age things automated, but we don't. So that's how I go over it. The psychological phenomenon of reactance kicks in, the urge to want to do it even more because you're banned from it. I'm just saying.
Divided by
Okay, just let me do amphetamine. As in make, not do as in do. No, I just mean make. I just wanna.
A Patreon exclusive video.
Patron only make it does drugs. Patrons, we need to cook amphetamine, patron. That's by the way not meth. I would just like to make that clear. Amphetamine is not meth, amphetamine is Adderall. I think. Let me double check actually.
Yes.
He thinks.
I think. Hold on, that's fundamental interaction, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, Adderall, exactly. That's not meth. Yeah. Methamphetamine has an additional methyl group.
Something.
You can get Adderall by just acting a little silly.
Exactly, but I don't want to get it, I want to make it. It's my name.
Yeah. That's the problem.
You don't need a license to make gunpowder. You kind of do in Poland, but if you are making a pipe bomb, the law is not exactly one of your worries. Let's not. We're getting wildly sidetracked here.
All of these dots right here are there because I defined x divided by 0.
This is the first time you get sidetracked in that way.
This is not the first time I get sidetracked in that way.
These dots
I
right
once made
Just
an
wanted to
entire
check.
live stream about amphetamine.
because
Okay. Just wanted to check if I have some sort of influence on people.
Hold on, let me actually prove it to you. I did make once an entire live stream just about amphetamine. Just talking about it, not actually doing it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's usually Make It who has the like weird influence on people,
Yeah,
not the other way around.
there we go. The super puff. Day 421, one day after 420.
you can
And that was just me like talking about amphetamine for 2 hours.
percent of YouTubers.
That's
God.
it. Yeah.
Also, there was that entire week when all of the live streams was about like Einstein smoking weed.
Oh yeah, that also was a thing. But to be fair, I was thinking about physics. That was important.
They are there because I defined x. Are there because I defined x divided by 0 as 0. Okay, it had to be
Oh
something.
my god.
I will not explain myself to you.
I'm gamble maxing.
What are we gamble maxing with?
Balatro.
No! No! Cursed game! Don't bring me back! Don't bring me back, no!
What?
No Balatro, no.
I'm doing Balatro.
That's like one of my most played games and I played it for 2 weeks.
Holy shit. Oh shit.
Going back to the stand though, every single time the teal number jumps, x divided by 0 as 0. Okay, I
just hope the video will be understandable and not a complete mess. This is kind of hard to judge
Why
this
not
because
both?
I always
Going back to the stand though,
like there's a point in the video making process where I always just hate my videos completely. And so then it's hard to judge how good the video will be.
every single time the teal number jumps
Make
up,
it all your videos are understandable
stand,
and a
though,
complete
every-
mess at the same time.
every single time that going back to the stand though,
That's why we love them.
Did you say aren't understandable?
Are understandable and a complete mess at the same
I
time.
was about to ban you. I was about to just...
You make me understand stuff that my university fed me on.
To be
like,
fair,
come on.
universities are surprisingly garbage at explaining stuff really often.
Yeah.
I was surprised myself.
Like- I'm here because you just made me understand Fourier transforms like in a few minutes, whilst my university failed to do that under like an hour-long lecture or something on Fourier transforms. And I have had to use Fourier transforms a lot, and I had absolutely no idea why they work. And then one sentence from your math video made me understand everything.
Mine was, and after all these years, still is Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Something around 9k hours. Well, in the same vein, I don't know, I think Skyrim, I preferred Skyrim. I liked Skyrim a lot. Skyrim was great. Still play it from time to time. Dune 2000 though. I spent a lot in that game. How much though? Dune 2000 was probably one of the games that I spent the most time on earlier on. And no, I don't mean time in this case, just time on that game. What else? Goat Simulator. I love that game as well. Oh, I love Goat Simulator. Goat Simulator is great.
Yeah, that just sounds like your kind of game.
Goat Simulator is fun. Oh, the new one came out. I haven't played it yet.
Every single time the teal number jumps up, back to the stand though, every single time the teal number jumps up, our actual number gets set to its maximum, because we just divide it by 1. Then as we
What's next? This next.
Then as we begin increasing the bottom number, we're actually decreasing the complete value.
No, I seem to make the electricity to electronics video as well.
You're welcome.
Throwing such a huge wrench into my plans. If I give up on the quantum mechanics video this month, then I can do it. Yeah, that's the idea.
Increasing the complete value, dividing it by a higher and higher number each time.
When the flush build actually works.
Decreasing the complete
Flash build almost always works. What do you mean? You just take the
I don't know, late game.
Oh, late game. Well, that depends. You're
Late
going
game.
for a single color or multiple colors.
I'm playing checkered deck. What else would I be playing when I play flush?
I mean, with hearts it works pretty well because you do have the joker that like has a chance to multiply the mult on each heart.
The Jonkler.
The jonkler. I always
yeah,
play on
God.
this. I always play on the spectral and go for like 5 of a kind. That's always my build. Always the same one. Damn, you make me want to play Balatro.
Yeah, I got 13 queen and 1.5 king.
Hold on, what were the most insane? I like how whenever... Okay, let me check my builds I had in the past, and for that I just need to go to DMs with Flame and see... Oh,
I got
this
5
was...
special jokers.
This was a good one. I really like this one.
Mm.
And then I got a DNA.
Oh god.
Yes! Oh god, indeed. It was powerful. This is... this was also a pretty good one.
Hmm. Interesting.
3 billion. What else do I have? Oh, this one was lovely. With the DNA and basically the entire deck was full of aces, lucky aces with red seals.
Had a similar one to that.
This one was funny because like I had my hand size was just 3 cards. that was my entire hand size. It's just 3 cards. I had 8 jokers, but I got down. I didn't realize I was like subtracting more and more each time. So I couldn't do anything. But I still won 3 rounds on this, and I got like an extra card. Until I lost, eventually. That was a really good one. No, I can't play Balatro. I can't get sucked back in. Is it true that dating isn't allowed in Poland because it's a very conservative place? Is that why you are still single? No, I'm just single because I'm ugly. But I mean, yeah, that's... I wouldn't know the dating thing.
Then as we begin increasing the bottom number, we're actually decreasing the complete value, dividing it by a higher and higher number each time, until we fill the bottom number.
May you please read my 2 previous messages. Well, the gunpowder one? I'd rather not. I'd rather not have on record that I know how to make gunpowder.
Until we fill the bottom number, at which point we move it up, and we move... At which point we move it up.
My god, money really is the solution to everything.
And we move our value to the right.
I turned a parasocial relationship into a social relationship.
I don't know what to tell you. It's usually how it goes.
My god.
And move our value to
I love capitalism.
There's a whole give on the server. There's just me saying, I love money. Hold on. There we go. That was made by Tefta. Dragon fight! I mean, no, I'm not playing Cookie Clicker. What do you mean? No, that was just, I was just yelling random words combined together. I was just thinking about the song "Take Me to the Beach." That was just, it's a really good one. Right, so I'm not playing games in the background. That would be unprofessional of me.
Man, I was not playing straight that last run.
Were you playing gay?
No, I was not. I was playing flush.
move it up, and move our value, move it up, and move our value to the right.
Ah, now what? Now what? Now what? Well, now the rest.
Up, and move our value to the right.
Okay, now it's time to record the rest.
Move our value to
What
the
is
right.
that record? Move our value to the right. The furthest point on the right is the top number divided by 1. That's why for each of these dots is just the 1 at the bottom. The furthest point to the left... No, I sound weird. The furthest point to the right is just the top number divided by 1. That's why for each of these dots is just the 1 at the bottom. The furthest point to the left is just the top number divided by 63. So as we keep increasing the top number, we just get 1 divided by 63, 2 divided by 63, 3 divided by 63, and so on, so forth. So each of these lines is just the top number divided by a different bottom number. And that's the pattern. Now with that in mind, if we look at this whole distribution from the top down, actually I didn't do that in the animation, I need to see what I did before actually recording that segment. Whoops. Happens. I'm getting hungry. I guess that's what happens when you don't eat. Pretty natural. Okay.
My god.
I think that'll be it for this stream. I need to go and eat. and finish the video as well. Okay then, everyone. That was fun. Let's do that again tomorrow, shall we? And then the day after tomorrow, and then repeat till I die. And for now, I suppose that'll be it. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and have a great day.